right, good morning, good morning. Unaccustomed location, but I think we'll get along fine. Doing some work in the theater. Will Delegate Assembly please come to order? And will Captain Palenzuela please lead us in the pledge?
My pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Captain. Hopefully, you've had a minute to look over the minutes. And not really very long. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
David,
Any corrections?
I have an addition.
An addition to the minutes. Okay, Ed.
Yes, I think in describing what happened at the last Delegate Assembly, I think that it should be included under the section that covers me, that it's the first time in 14 years I saw an officer get cut off at 3 minutes.
All right. I'm sure that the recording secretary will do the right thing. Thank you. Which brings us by route circuitous to law enforcement report. Captain, where is your lieutenant?
Lieutenant Monas sends his regrets, but he had an appointment, so
Okay.
he couldn't get out of it. So, you know, he is getting older. We want to make sure his health is okay, so he had to go see his doctor. Even though I'm older than him, I came. So there you go. All right, I threw him under the bus a little bit. So, okay. So good morning, Century Village. How are you? It's a big room. I forgot how big this room was. I've only been back here once or twice. So just a couple quick reminders. The crime report will be quick. It wasn't a busy month last month in the village, thank goodness. Hurricane season. We've been very fortunate this season, and I don't want to, praise that too much, and then all of a sudden things don't, start to turn around. But make sure your plans, you guys are prepared, and you check on your neighbors. You have your water supplies, your batteries, everything like that. The sheriff's office, we've been refreshing since it's been good for us. We're making sure our contingencies are in place, so if the village does need anything, we'll be able to come in and assist you guys, okay? So just keep that in mind going forward. For the crime report, or our activity report for the month of August, I'll start with the traffic. So we had 20 traffic stops within the village. Of those traffic stops, 14 citations. We had 12 written warnings. There was 4 accidents reported. None of them seemed to be major. There was one with injuries, but they were minor injuries. We had 187 calls for service. Out of those calls for service, only 45 cases required a report or some type of documentation. And just to remind everybody, we're doing our pill drop operation. It's going to be in the main lobby over there. That starts at 10 in the morning, and I believe it goes till 2, right? George? Yeah, okay. Yes, that's today. Yep, Operation Pill Drop is today. So any unused medications or prescription drugs that you have at home, just go ahead and bring them in. Bring them in a bag, and we'll dispose them. All right. So for out of those 45 cases that were reported, are cases of interest for the month. We had 1 residential burglary. A victim reported his Dyson cordless vacuum missing from his residence. However, the deputies investigated. There was no forced entry, and the front door was left unlocked. Okay, so be careful with leaving your doors and to your residence unsecure in your vehicles. Fraud. We only had 2 fraud cases, which is good. That's a little bit less. So the first one was an unknown person obtained a victim's online passwords and made fraudulent transactions. The loss was $1,000, and we have one of our detectives investigating. The second fraud was a victim mailed a check to Diagnostic Centers of America through the Postal Service, and the check was made out for $63, and the check cleared her account for $9,752. So fortunately, the victim's not being held responsible for the fraud, so her check must have been intercepted somewhere, and someone altered the check and was able to present that. And our Detective Bureau is investigating that as well. Two vandalisms. We had a victim reported unknown person chewed up food and spit it on her vehicle. Okay, and then tore off and bent the license plate holder. She believes it could be a homeless person in the area, but has no proof. So we don't know who the suspect is in that. Just keep an eye out. Any suspicious people in the village or people you don't recognize, we say it all the time. Call us. We'll come in and we'll check them out. Unknown person took a driver's side hubcap off the vehicle in the weather strip. Was torn into pieces. That's other vandalism. We don't know if that person was personally targeted or not. And then something that's a little pervasive countywide, catalytic converter theft is on the rise because of the precious metals that are in catalytic converters. Yeah, and we had one stolen off a 2004 Honda Element in the village. So recently, my district, District 3, did we partnered with Midas, and we did an etching event where we went to the muffler shop. It was open to the public. We're going to have more in the future where you can take your vehicle there, and they'll take your VIN number, and they'll go underneath your vehicle, and they'll etch your VIN number on your catalytic converter. So if someone tries to remove it and they present it to a scrap yard, the scrappers aren't to do, they won't be able to take that without contacting the owner and verifying the VIN through law enforcement. So, keep aware of that. I'll get with George when we do another event and make sure the village is aware. Or maybe I can invite the companies. Maybe we can do something here on the village if the village is interested in getting some vehicles, get your catalytic converters marked with VIN number. I'll take your question. Yeah. I don't know that much about them because I'm not a mechanic, but it's probably some type of special aluminum or oxide. They have to mine all these precious metals for electrical devices, and now these EV batteries, electrical vehicle batteries, are very high in demand. So those precious metals that are in the catalytic converter can probably be recycled and be sold and used for the development of electronic products. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, sir. Oh, ma'am, sorry. All vehicles, yeah. All modern vehicles have catalytic converters. Yeah, that's okay. No, that's a good question. So it's an EPA standard, Environmental Protection Agency. So all modern vehicles have catalytic converter. You won't know it. It's underneath. It goes into your. It's part of your exhaust system. Yes. Oh yes. Well, yeah. What they do is they crawl underneath with a hacksaw, and they've gotten really good. Within a minute or two, they can hacksaw on either side of the exhaust and drop the catalytic converter and take it. You're welcome. Yes. Yes, ma'am. It's a red flag, and these scrap yards, some keep records, some don't. The ones that they do keep records, if they come in with a VIN number etched or any kind of owner identification, it strains credibility, right? For someone to walk in with 20 catalytic converters and say, I want to scrap these. But just like pawn shops back in the day before they got regulated, they were very seedy, and people, thieves would steal your personal items out of cars or homes and then take them to pawn shops and pawn them. So it's something we'll have to work with these scrap yards, but they're not. I'm not saying they're not completely ethical, but they're shady. Yeah, yeah,
Captain,
yes.
over here.
Oh, you'll know.
Yeah, you'll know. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it'll be loud because
very noisy.
yeah.
It'll sound like this because it happened to me 2 months ago. Bub, 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 bub.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because your exhaust system is completely compromised. Yeah, you'll know. Any other questions? That was a good topic, huh? I just want to also, go ahead, ma'am. Yeah, you could drive. Your car is operational, but it's very loud and uncomfortable. And you can drive to a mechanic or you can get it serviced, but it's something you don't want to continuously drive because then you could do other damage to the vehicle. Um, yeah, what you could do is you could call your mechanic or anybody if you have your vehicle serviced and see if they have an etching device and have your VIN number, have your mechanic etch your VIN number on your catalytic converter. So if it is stolen and they go to a scrapyard, they're compelled to have to check the ownership verification with the VIN number on the catalytic converter. Yes, it can be replaced. Yeah, yeah, no, it can be replaced. What they'll do is they'll solder a new one in, but it's pricey. It's expensive. Yeah, and I don't know if it'll meet the your insurance deductible, depending on what type of insurance you have and your deductible, but your insurance may cover it. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Donald.
Guys, just it happened to me recently, so I'll tell you my experience. The catalytic converter was stolen from a parking lot at Miami Airport while I was on vacation. Obviously, I turned the key, blum, 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 something's wrong. It appears that from the Miami Police Department, they told me that certain vehicles are susceptible to this because they're easy to get to and there's a market for the parts. Mine was a Mitsubishi SUV. The other one I heard about is the Toyota Prius. As far as protecting yourself, if it happens, you have to get another one. The problem is that since certain models are targeted, it sometimes is hard to get the part. I'm already waiting 2 months and I haven't gotten one yet. I have a replacement in that isn't quite right. So just something to know.
Okay. And I just want to just make you guys aware, Palm Beach County countywide has been having an issue with car clubs that are coming and they'll set up like at a parking lot or at an open venue. But it's these young adults that have these cars that are souped up. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fast and Furious movies. Right, so these individuals think that they're these type of rock stars and movie stars that they can go race their cars throughout the county. So after they do the little car club meet, they like to go on the main roadways in Palm Beach County and rev their little souped up cars and their race cars. Just be careful. It's a problem on the evenings and in the weekends. And down in the south part of the county, there have been a couple traffic fatalities related to racing. So if you're driving and you see you've seen these really souped up cars, accelerating or just slow down and stay away from them. Call the sheriff's office. Hopefully you guys have it in your cell phone, the non-emergency number. It goes right to our communications center and you can report that kind of activity so we can make the deputies aware in the area. All right, so just be careful. I don't want to alarm you guys, but just like anything else, have situational awareness when you're driving on the roadways because they're very immature and they don't make good decisions, and it's costing people their cars, their aggravation, time, and unfortunately injuries in their lives in some cases. Yes. Yep, absolutely. So if I were you guys, I'd have this programmed in your cell phone. I'd put PBSO, and then I would put area code 561-688-3400. So if you see something that's not technically an emergency, but something you want to advise for communications, call that number. And it actually goes to the same communication center that our 911 operators are at. It'll just get answered in a different queue. Yep, I'll say it again real slow. So it's area code 561-688-3400. And I would just have that on just in case you see something out there and you want to contact us and let us know. That would be really a great resource for you guys to have in your phones. If that's it, I know you guys have a busy meeting. Okay. All right, we'll see you guys at 1 o'clock at the meeting. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Captain. Okay, that brings me up, and I have one item which will be reinforced in the October edition of the UCO Reporter. That is a call for volunteers at UCO. The volunteers at UCO save us all thousands of dollars. We need volunteers at reception, investigation, barcode desk, gate pass desk, and in the reporter. So please, a few hours a week. You don't have to be there every day. Give this, just think about volunteering, okay? I will advise you that we have 121 signed in delegates, so we, at the moment, have a quorum. Okay, and now we will have our officers' reports. Okay, why don't we start with Joanne?
Thank you. Honored. I just have one item. It's a big one. The very last sheet in your packet today is a refresher for the clickers. We are going to reintroduce the clicker program. Many of you are longtime delegates, so you remember the clickers. Next month, we will have them live, and it'll make it easier for us, especially since we're going to be voting on the budget. And ongoing. It just makes it very quick and very easy. There's some contact information in there for any new delegates that may not be familiar or have questions about it. But we're going to go back to the exact same program we had in the past. We'll be taking the IDs and giving you a clicker and then returning your IDs when you leave. We're asking, as David said, for volunteers. That's one of the volunteer positions that we really could use some help with, to have additional people out front when you come in and when you leave. So give us a call at the office if you'd like to volunteer to do that. And anybody that has any questions, any newer delegates that are unfamiliar with the program, if you want to give me a call at the office or send an email, I'll get in touch with you. We can just run through what the program is all about. But most of you remember it, I'm sure. But that's my report for this month.
Any questions? No. Okay, I think next we have Dominic.
Good morning. We're very late in the hurricane season, but I'd like to mention 4 or 5 things that would be helpful for new people coming to the village and maybe to the rest of us as well. Simply 5, filling your bathtub with 6 to 8 inches of water is for flushing your toilet. If we lose the water, if they shut down the water pumping station, then we don't have water to either drink nor flush your toilet. So when you find out that it's on its way, plug the bathtub, fill it up with 6 inches or so of water, and you can flush your toilet and use it for other things. Days before landfall, set your freezer at a colder setting. Fill Ziploc storage bags with water, pack it around the meats and so forth that are in there, and they'll prolong the life of the contents of the freezer. Third, spray WD-40 on the shutter pins. Those of you who have the shutters that close, it's been 2 years or so since they've even been moved, so they're more or less frozen, and the WD-40 will loosen them up, and you can quickly close to protect your windows from the oncoming winds. Again, protect the entry door if you can. It's mostly glass and a little metal around it, and if you could, get a piece of plywood or whatever that you can fasten to the door. And if you don't and the window on the door breaks, you're going to get wind build up inside and it'll blow the back of the apartment right out onto the grass. If you have a propane barbecue, take the tank and tie it to a tree or something at least 10 yards away from the house. If you leave it in where it is, it's too close, it can be blown off the stand and explode and whatever and be a danger to the property. That's it, folks. Thank you. Any questions? Oh, no, I don't have an answer.
Did I hear a question?
Yes. Yes. Once again, you want to protect your apartment from having an influx of compressed air, which would blow out the back of your apartment, your sliding glass doors and so forth. And contrary, if you have screens on the back porch, wind in the other direction could affect your sliding glass doors and get into your apartment. Any other questions? Good.
All right,
Thank you.
we'll save Ed for down toward the bottom of the agenda under Treasurer's Report. And next up, Bob.
Good morning. Just so you know, I'm doing the timer right now, and it's not paying attention to me. Okay. All right. Everybody's getting 3 minutes, including the officers, just so you know. All right. I said everybody's getting 3 minutes, including the officers, just so you know. The only ones that did not get it are the police. And I believe Commissioner Weiss has some things that he's got some stuff to say. So Commissioner Weiss is going to get more than 3 minutes, but everybody else gets 3 minutes and one bite at the apple. That's all.
Bob, don't burn up your 3 minutes talking about 3 minutes.
That's it. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Bob. Stuart.
Good morning. I want to call your attention to a phrase called fiduciary responsibility, which I will address in my VP column for the next month in the UCO Reporter. The reason why I bring it up now is because of the fact that we've had people coming into the office with almost pulling their hair out of their heads because they've had problems resulting from the lack of people leaving the village and not doing what they're supposed to do, closing their apartments down and cleaning it out. One board member came in and said that the smell coming from a particular apartment was so great they had to go in there and open up the refrigerator. The refrigerator was, the power was off and there was food and everything in there. And it was debris and bugs and rodents and everything else. And they contacted the owner of the apartment. He wasn't doing anything about it, and he wanted to know what they could do. And I told him, you have a fiduciary responsibility to hire somebody to come in and rip that thing out because it'll spread to every other apartment in your building. And so hopefully he follows that advice. But you have to be responsible as a board member to ensure that the value of your building is maintained by following the rules and regulations, and ensure that if people are leaving, that they do the right thing, like keeping the air conditioning on and taking everything out of their refrigerator and making sure their apartment is clean, or have somebody coming in and checking it. And my 3 minutes are up, and I pass it on.
You still had one.
Patricia.
That was excellent. I basically was going to talk about that. So the other problem is a lot of people are coming in and they're telling me, presidents, you don't have the final word. You cannot make decisions on your own. That's why you have a board. A lot of the buildings here, the president is not listening to the board. They're doing whatever they want. They're building whatever they want, and that's not how it works. I had someone come into the office, I think it was Friday. He wanted to resign. Everybody on the board was resigning because of their president. So there is a letter that you don't just resign and not do a letter and send it to Tallahassee. Because some of the people, when we were calling them, we found out that they weren't on the board for 2 or 3 years, yet they were on the board. They still had them on the board. So it costs $35 to send this letter, but it's a way of protecting yourself. So God forbid if something happens in the building because the president is doing it all on his own, you won't get sued because you're still down as a board member. That's all I have to say, but that's very, very important. Someone has a question? Yes. Refuse to do what, sir? The offices? No, I said the offices of the building? Well, that's basically what Stuart said. That's why I was adding on to what he had said, that you have the right to call someone in and clean and, send them a bill, but it's our responsibility to make sure that other apartments aren't affected by it. Exactly right, an attorney. Do you have an attorney? We retain an attorney. I think it's a smart decision for buildings to retain attorney all year. That's who you turn to. Okay, any other questions? Yes?
They do.
Nobody can hear what she's saying.
Most of the buildings do. We have it in our bylaws. There's not one person in my building that hasn't given me a key that's in a locked door and a locked box. Yeah, it should be that way. Any other questions?
All right, hold on.
Yes.
These questions may be of interest to other people. I'm going to strongly suggest, if you have a question, to come up to the microphone so that everyone can hear your question and then the response. Are there any other questions for Patricia? Bob?
Yes, Bob.
I just want to make a comment that not every association member turns in a key for their place. And in a case like that, right, if something goes on, something goes wrong, as an association, you have every right to break down the door and give them the bill.
No. No, it doesn't. You don't break down. I told, one lady was holding out.
Call a locksmith.
Yeah, I told her, I said, if there's anything that is wrong in your unit and we have to get a locksmith, you'll get the bill. So she gave me a key the next day.
And just so you know, if they still refuse and you have to call a locksmith and they refuse to pay the bill, then they lose their voting rights in the association. They do. That is
finished.
by the state law.
All right.
I'm finished.
Patricia, that's it?
I'm finished.
All right. Fausto?
Well, I'm going to need about, to condense 30 minutes into 3, so I'm going to do my best. The next pill drop will be in December. We're going to do them 4 times a year. I have a commitment from PBSO. So if you forgot, we've been announcing it for the last 2 months. It was in last month's agenda. There was a sheet reminding you. It's also in the UCO Reporter. Speaking of the UCO Reporter, it was brought to our attention that the office hours that UCO operates and what we do within those hours has been omitted from the paper. It went back in September's paper. I recommend that you get a copy of the paper, either cut it out of the paper and post it on your bulletin board so everybody in your building doesn't show up at 5 minutes after 12 and say, how come I can't get service? That's your responsibility as delegates and officers to inform the people in your building the hours of UCO and what they can get done. The hours have been from 9 to 12 and 12 to 3. Those are the office hours. If you want a barcode, if you want a gate pass, it is from 9 till 11:30. On Fridays, it's from 12 to 2:30. It's in this month's paper. Cut it out, make a copy of it, give it to everybody in your building, post it on your bulletin board. The next thing, we have been basically informed that insurance is going to be going up for those of you that care. Make sure that your budget reflects it. We've also been informed by our insurance agent that the value of all the homes, apartments in Century Village has gone up substantially. So the numbers that we got, we went from $550 million to $720 million. okay? That is going to be reflected on the value of your buildings, on what the insurance is going to cost. You should be working on your current budgets now and figure that in. If you need help on figuring out a budget and you don't have Seacrest or you're on your own, any one of the vice presidents will be happy to sit down with you and give you guidelines. We're not going to do your budget, but we will help you through your budget. Make sure you have adequate reserves. We have too many buildings in here that do not have reserves. If you need a schedule, you need help, come in, see one of the vice presidents, and we'll give you an idea of what you should be reserving for. If you're not sure, go into 718. 718 gives you a pretty good guideline of what your building should have reserves for. October 8th, there will be an HOA condo at the convention center. For those of you that have never gone, sign up for it, go. It's worthwhile. Attend as many classes as you can. It's free, and you get a lunch. It's at the convention center. Okay, it's an HOA condo conference. That's it. My time is up. I did pretty good.
Fausto, thank you. Okay, this brings us to
Excuse me.
Donald's report, the CAM's
Excuse me,
report.
David.
Do we have a question?
I just want to have a little bit of a correction of what Fausto said. The treasurer is always here to help you who has the financial background. Don't be afraid. You could always call. Thank you.
Yeah, right, okay. LCAM report, Donald.
Good morning, everyone. After a 2-year COVID hiatus, I'm happy to report that UCO is back to planning some major improvement projects in the village, and I'm a little excited about it. We're going to be putting in a new curb along the north side of Century Boulevard from Haverhill Road down to the Four Corners. We think that'll go a long way of keeping that grass swale looking nicer before we do any improvements to the landscaping. Be nice not to see Oldsmobiles running over what we paid money to plant. The second thing is a stretch of sidewalk along the south side of Century Boulevard from the clubhouse down to the Four Corners is going to be removed and widened. And finally, you've all heard me talk about the upcoming fence that's going to be installed. I've been talking about it for months between on Haverhill Road between Community Drive and the entrance. That's currently in permit purgatory. I check on it every day. As soon as we get that permit, we're going to schedule that job as well. And that's all I have for this month, unless you guys have any work for me or questions. Come on up, Diane.
I want to just add collaterally, it was recommended by Pat Blanc, who was our CAM at least 12 years ago, that fence be replaced. There's 2,000 feet of fence there, and it is a mess. Okay. Any questions for CAM?
Hi.
Yes, dear. Come up to the mic.
Thank you for coming up to the mic. Oh,
Tilt it down.
yeah, tilt it down.
Joan Lawson, Windsor K. I am the treasurer. I have a question. I have reported to you once before, we have no street signs on West Drive,
Uh-huh.
and we haven't gotten them yet. They all came down, West Drive, Evans Street, and the numbers of the building, Windsor K.
Okay, so the signage on your property, that's pretty much a association responsibility. However, the street signs along the main roads are being worked on a little at a time. We just put some new directional signage up at the Kent section and the Somerset section. So we're getting to it.
So there's nothing on West Drive that says
I'll be
Evans
on-
Street?
Yeah, some of the stuff really wasn't there in the first place. I've heard that,
It was there.
But,
It blew away.
we'll get to it little at a time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for CAM?
Come on down.
Come on down. No, don't.
Who's that, Rhoda?
It's a long walk. We ought to have her runner out here.
We'll put a couple in the back.
Yeah, good idea.
Good morning, Rhoda. How are you?
I have a question.
Sure.
There's a tree.
What tree?
Well, it's at the bus stop where the bench is for the bus stop,
Keep narrowing it down.
and the roots have buckled the asphalt.
All right, are you talking about near the laundry,
Huh? No, by the pool, Dorchester.
Dorchester Pool? I'll take a look when I get back there later today. Where exactly near the pool are we talking about?
Right opposite the pool at the bus stop, at the end of Dorchester D.
All right, that's association property, but I'll certainly take a look and let whoever's the manager of that property know about it.
The bench is ours too?
The bench belongs to Yuko, but it is on association property.
I just
So,
want to say one, okay.
I'll be happy to
yeah,
take a look
thanks.
and find out who's the
One
property
more
manager
thing.
there.
We had a hoarder. It cost $6,000 to remove the junk.
Sure.
And the toilet, and the fridge, and the stove, and every, 6,000. So,
The moral of the story there is, you all do have inspection rights as an association, and none of us like doing it. None of us like. I don't do it in my building because I just hate it. But the whole point of periodic inspections of the units by the boards is to nip this stuff in the bud before it gets out of control. So this is something you might want to discuss with your board and with your property manager and perhaps your attorney, and get a program in.
well, how we found out is she fell in there.
Correct.
So, that's
Right.
otherwise.
So, none of us like doing it, but not everything about
Especially
being on a
in
board
there,
is fun.
So, check out the tree.
I will.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rhoda. Hi, Mary Ann, how are you?
Good, Donald. How are you?
I'm okay.
Mary Ann Somerset G. We have between the two tennis courts a dead-end sign, and it seems to be set back where these tractor trailers that are coming down don't see it. So they come down to the cul-de-sac, and now they can't back, so they're backing up, beep, beep, beep. That's a little dangerous. So if we could move that sign out just a little bit more.
What will most likely happen, Mary Ann, that now that you've called my attention to it, is I will remove the dead-end sign, and this is why. Signage like that, dead-end signs,
Yeah.
are governed by what's called the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. You just can't, very likely, that dead-end sign was put up by one of your predecessors on the board. They just said, let's put one up. Doesn't work that way. So once I pay attention to it, what will most likely happen is I'll just remove it.
So they're going to still end up coming down and getting
Yes.
caught in that cul-de-sac.
It's if you're gonna play with it, you have to play with it right. And again, I can't quote the manual
Yeah.
from you, but I will take a look at it for you.
Okay,
All
thanks.
right?
Any other questions for Donald? Whoa,
There
okay.
she is. Hi.
Hi, Maureen Sullivan, Dorchester.
Hi, Mrs. Sullivan.
Hi. What do you do about follow-through? A couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, there was a picture in the paper of a big blue car sticking out, and there was a yellow sign.
That's
Now, that
Cambridge
yellow
E.
sign has since faded,
Uh-huh.
and the car is still there. What follow-through actually
Okay, there
happened?
actually was follow through there. The owner of the car, who actually is just using the car for storage, the car doesn't move. He did register and put a registration tag on it. So that's why it hasn't been towed. In that particular case, the association ignored a notice of violation, and the code enforcement officer put that sticker on to say that if the association doesn't take care of this, the county would tow it and then charge the association for the tow. But he did come into compliance, such as it is. So yes, I did check on that earlier this week. Windows is still open. I took some heat from referring to cars as junkers and things like, but it's full of junk. What else can I call it? So this is really an association matter that the association should be dealing with the property manager. Unfortunately, it usually winds up falling to me and us, all of us here. So, okay.
Anything else for Donald? Whoa, okay.
Good morning.
Hi. Susan Kanzel, President of Dover.
Speak into the mic and tell us who you are.
You're taller than all the previous ones.
Okay, that's much better. Hi. Susan Kanzel, President of Dover. It's come to my attention that the most difficult time to have our bulk pickup is Friday, which it is, because only help people can get to move things out is over the weekend. And it's been brought to my attention that option to move to Monday might be of value for more than just Dover.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing it out for consideration.
I did address this some years ago when I first started working here, and I got no love from Solid Waste Authority. Basically, the schedule is the schedule. And serving on the advisory board of the Solid Waste Authority got me no love in that regard either. That schedule is fairly complex, I've come to learn, and it's just not easy or even possible to just take. Every community in Palm Beach County wants to have a Monday pickup. For obvious reasons. That's when people go buy a refrigerator or a new TV or
Right.
move their grandmother out. So it's just
So
something we're stuck with, unfortunately.
Well, we're stuck with that company with that option.
Well-
But can we investigate other companies that
No,
would...
that's not-
Wait, can I finish?
Yeah.
That would offer additional support cheaper than what we would have to incur.
Well,
like having someone come
You and your
on a Monday.
association could certainly employ any waste disposal company you want for extra service. But as far as your
You get
regular...
paid, you have to pay either
You would
either
have
way.
to pay, yes.
And I had somebody very creatively go to Goodwill and find families to come over, and we had quite a line of people going through their condo, taking things out. So it was very creatively done, so they didn't have to put it out for garbage pickup. But I'm just trying to find a better way.
Yeah, like I said, we've addressed this. Unfortunately, everybody wants what you just suggested, so it's probably not going to happen. Hi, Wayne.
Yay!
Hey, how you doing? Wayne Smith, Somerset E. I just have a question that goes back to the budget. The problem we have with the insurance is we have to approve our budget by the end of the year. And
Correct.
then the insurance comes out January, February. So do we have an idea how much it's going up?
Andy does your budget, right? You're a Seacrest building? Seacrest manages your building?
No. Pruitt.
Okay, so Fester already is anticipating at least a 25% increase in insurance. Is that about right, Festo?
Yeah, could be that or maybe more.
So, if you want to be safe, 30%. But we're sure that's what it's going to be. And this happens every year to all of us who are treasurers and presidents of our association. We don't have that number, but we have to have our budget meeting in October or November. So between me and you, put 30% in and cover it.
Shazam. All right, thank you.
And Wayne, you're coming to see me today to give a report about your, I think that's...
Yeah, I was going to...
I can't come today. But
Okay, you'll come see me after the holiday. Okay, thanks.
David?
Donald?
Yes, Fausto.
Just so for people that don't know, unfortunately, due to the fact of the rates and changes, we are not given an actual cost of insurance until the middle of November, because the statute says that the insurance company must give us a price 45 days prior to the renewal of the insurance. All insurance is due January 1st. So you're going to have the month of December and maybe 2 weeks, if you're lucky, in November. That's why we don't have those numbers, so that you're aware of it. So you have to take your crystal ball out and do some figures to try to be within. What I said, think about this. All buildings' costs have gone up. Their value has gone up. And we've been informed Senville, which is the 3 Century Villages, is looking at almost a 30% increase in insurance. So based upon that, you have to figure out what you feel comfortable with. That's it. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Fausto.
Mr. Chair?
Where was that from?
Oh,
Oh, Ed.
sitting on your right, Ed Grossman.
Ed.
That's a very interesting question. I'm going to add a little to it. One of our prior treasurers had a terrific idea. He moved to March so that we would have that. In regard to the increase, I question Mr. Massey because we have to put it in our budget. And the first thing is, he said that there is an automatic increase of 13% because the buildings have been revalued. What's unclear is the 30%, is it above the 13%? And from my experience with these insurance companies, I would take 13 and 30. Better to have the money than not have the money. And I don't usually say that. But supposedly, our buildings are being valued at different amounts because of the condition of the building. So I don't think anything is set in stone. That's my advice.
Okay. Yes, dear. Please, come up. Yeah. Come up to the mic. Tilt it down.
Judith Morris, Northampton M. We just had our roof redone. I heard the people that have an old roof, 20 years or more, their insurance is going to be more than the ones that just had the roof redone. So that's the way it's working.
It's certainly possible that if you have a roof in excess of 15 years, you may experience a bump in your premium. Now, I'm going to make a suggestion. This could turn into a 2-hour-long insurance meeting. I'm strongly suggesting that you come in and talk to Tony.
We already did.
Huh?
We already know.
Oh, okay.
We got a new roof.
But
So there's no problem.
not just for you, but come in for Tony and make sure that you get the straight skinny, as they say.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. But
All
we
right.
already know from Seacrest.
Huh?
We already know from Seacrest.
Okay. Fine.
Everything is new.
But
Everything is new in our building.
but that applies to anybody.
Yes. Yes.
We've been writing articles on the age of roofs and the potential impact.
Right, right.
Because you got a roof that's 20 years old, it's conceivably going to blow away if there's a storm.
Right, right.
Okay?
That's what I'm telling everybody. If they don't know that if the roof is old, they should do something about it now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Jerry.
Just reminding everybody, there's this new structural integrity law that you have to have money in your budget to maintain the structural integrity of the building. So in doing your budget, please keep that in mind.
It's a very good point. You should certainly have infrastructure reserves. It should be ongoing. And yes, dear.
Mr. Zero.
Susan
it
again
down.
from Dover. I'm not touching it. Getting it back in there was tough. Okay, finding a good engineer and finding a good elevator company is a challenge. And I have been incredibly blessed with both. So if anybody wants me to share my info, give me a call or I'll stay outside because we have a brand new one. Nuvo Florida Elevator. Oh my goodness, amazing. And we had a consultant with 41 pages of a violation. And then Epic Forensic Engineering. Epic, amazing.
All right. I'm going to suggest, because I'm sure that's of interest to many people, consider writing a brief article for the UCO Reporter on your experiences. All right? Yes, Dan.
Okay. As a professional person for a long time, the value of your building should not be the market value. It should be the value of repairs. Easy way to find it up, call a contractor and says how much it costs to rebuild a footage. And all the time, then just multiply it by your footage and you get the right place to repair or to rebuild, not the market value.
All right. And we left off on this agenda the editor-in-chief of the UCO Reporter, Ms. Ruth.
That be me. Thank you, David. Good morning, everybody. If you'll turn to the second to the last page, you'll see the reporter breakdown, and you'll see that we are still ahead, which is very good. But I want to bring one thing to your attention. If you read the committee meetings on page 3, the last line for the executive board was left out. If there are any board members here, there will be a meeting on Friday, September 30th at the usual time, 10 a.m. I believe it's in meeting room A. The reason it was left out was not the fault of the submission, it was a printing error, which was explained to me. Every so often they get a glitch, but I take responsibility for part of that. I should have seen it, but having no proofreaders, I'm the only one that goes through the paper. So I apologize for that. The printer is taking all kinds of precautions for the future, but I will be looking at it as well. I don't think I've used my 3 minutes. Have a happy weekend, a good, where are we at? Labor Day? Have a good Labor Day.
All right. I don't think we missed any of the officers, but I would like to give Commissioner Weiss a few minutes. Huh? The treasurer is a bit further down the agenda. Just read the agenda. Okay? Commissioner.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Wonderful to see you all. Couple things I just, we started to talk a little bit about it, but the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners, we passed an ordinance in line with the state requirements for the building inspections. So I'm just to make sure you're all aware of that. I also want to remind everybody, ensure that if you know or hear of work going on in one of the units, make sure that it's being done properly, that the permits are being pulled, they're using a licensed contractor. Unfortunately, we had a meeting with our building officials here. It's still going on. And so it can be very dangerous because they can make the buildings unsafe. Secondly, we passed another ordinance requiring 60-day notification of any rent increases or cancellations of leases. Under Florida law, only a 15-day requirement was by the state. We've moved forward with a 60-day requirement. We know people are being hit with very large rent increases. We want them to be able to plan for it, or if they unfortunately have to move, give them time to get that done. And lastly, on a very positive note, the county joining with the city of West Palm Beach and somebody who's got a relative living here, Jeff Green, we donated land to the University of Florida for a new downtown technology campus. It'll be a graduate school campus being built near downtown West Palm Beach, so really proud to be able to be a part of that. And lastly, I want to wish everybody a very happy Labor Day. This country was built on the backs of labor, and thank you all for those who have helped build this country and continue to support our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. All right, I'm not aware of any unfinished business. Is there any new business to come before Delegate Assembly? New business.
Maureen Sullivan again. In today's current world, I'm wondering if we shouldn't put up cameras. We're talking about catalytic converters and homeless. I think there's room in our village to put up intermittent cameras around. They do it on every street corner in London. We're no better than them. I think it's time. The other thing, kind of old business, because I've mentioned it twice before at delegate meetings, There is no reason that we shouldn't have a roving mic in this building in these meetings. There's
I agree with you 100%, and we'll make that happen.
Yeah, people don't want to get up from their seats to let other people by. It's time consuming, it's dangerous, it's a safety factor. I think we ought to go with it. Thank you.
All right. Just one point. This issue of cameras has come up before. The vast majority of the buildings are so configured that cameras can be placed on your building to surveil the parking lot. And I strongly recommend that if you're concerned with automobile vandalism, catalytic converter theft, auto theft, that you consider putting up those cameras. We have a couple of experts which we can bring in here to help you. So come in and see the cam. This is a very good idea. And you back those cameras up with a recorder, and the police will be very helpful in the case of some sort of theft. They would love to see those videos. Yes.
Sorry, David, but I tend to disagree.
Okay. What?
I had security come and put in one of the sports cameras where it had the little card. We had 4 tricycles stolen in 3 days. So we asked to have the camera move slightly, only to discover the camera was stolen. So now we try to do with a more of a Wi-Fi driven system, and those who do know Dover know that it's not rectangular. We have this slight flange, you know, enough to cause Wi-Fi not to take the turn. So we can bring Wi-Fi, but it can't power all the cameras. So we have concrete, and more concrete that makes that more problematic. So now we have a 4th company coming in to try and pull us to the wall and cast it on our building. So to suggest other buildings just throw up a camera, I highly recommend. It's not that easy. So make sure that you have, if you have an expert to come in to talk with us, I highly, highly welcome that. But I can also tell you it is a hard nut to crack, and it is still definitely necessary.
Well, this is why I suggest that you come talk to Donald. He'll give you the name of experts in the field who will help you get that done so that it actually works. We have cameras on all corners of the UCO building, and they have been useful in the past when somebody was stealing our propane. All right. Any other new business to come before Delegate Assembly? Come on.
Hi, my name is Carol. I live in Cambridge I.
Come on, talk into, yeah, there you go.
So it fell out on me.
That's okay, that's all right.
My name is Carol. I live in Cambridge I. I'm new to the village. Excuse me. Say what?
You got to talk into the mic.
I don't want to put my mouth near it, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm new to the village. My name is Carol. I live in Cambridge I. And if we're a gated community, why is there so much afraid of people coming in? Are they not being secured at the gate? How are they getting in to steal this?
All right. I will tell you that we're in the middle of litigation on this, and there was a major case. An individual came in here and killed somebody.
His girlfriend.
Look, we do our very best to maintain gate access and control, but anyone who wants to come in here can jump over a fence or snip a hole in it, and this has happened in the past. This is not a military spec organization. There's only so much we can do, all right? And we do the best we can. In fact, this murderer came right through the gate because another unit owner opened it up for him to help him out. Normally, you would have to hold up a card. So, within reason, we do what we can. Remember that this is a $1 million project, and to significantly increase it would drive the cost up. We have 3 rover vehicles. We have close cooperation with PBSO, but it's a large campus. Okay?
I have one more question.
Sure.
Being new here, I do drive slowly through the neighborhood.
Can you talk into the mic?
I drive slowly through the neighborhood, but I've been trying to look for speed signs, what the speed is. I'm not seeing any. But I don't see any signs posted. And
There
I
are
said-
signs posted. Speed limit on the ring road. I believe it's 25 miles an hour.
Right, I go 25, but,
The perimeter
okay.
roads were
The
the only
perimeter
ones that
The
had
outside roads,
Yeah,
okay.
right. They have them.
All right, I'll have to look more, maybe put some glasses on, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Doc.
This is actually future business, since speech limits have been discussed. Only the body, the assembly, not an individual, can impose speech limits. So when we have clickers at the next meeting, I will suggest that unless speaking officially, each person is limited to 2 3-minute speeches on an issue, the second speech coming after the first-timers have gone. I'm letting you know now, the bylaws are very clear. Only the assembly, the board, or the committee can impose speech limits, not any individual. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Okay. And this brings us to the treasurer's report. Ed, you're up.
We had a great month. I'm less than 3 minutes. Actually, it was a very good month. The month itself, according to the report, gave us a $5,000 plus, and for the year to date, the report says we're still ahead. I have one caveat, which is very close to what Ruth Dress said. Because of changing the mechanics of how the report and when the report is prepared, I really didn't have enough time to review it. And the error on the report is a little difficult to understand. I haven't figured it out yet, because if you look, the receivable schedule on the balance sheet don't tie in, and that's a very odd situation, but I hope we'll have it resolved by the next meeting. What's equally important is I want to thank Joanne. She's doing a wonderful job on the Zoom meetings, and we had 3 quick Zoom meetings this past week, and she did a wonderful job of Zooming it and putting it on David's blog. What's missing here, and I'll be out in the back, is that the notification for the Zoom meetings was not really what Zoom meetings usually do. Usually invitations are set out. This was no invitation set out. It was just noted. So anybody who wants to attend the Zoom meeting, and I think you should, it's your money, and together what we're paying WPRF and us is almost $22 million, and that's not chicken feed. There was a request for people to send in anything they'd like as far as additions or subtractions. And quite frankly, it worked very well. And 2 items that were originally turned down, when the requester appeared in person, they were reversed. So again, if you want to see the Zoom meetings, see me in the back, and you will be put on the list. Thank you for your attendance, and God bless you all.
All right. This is a very good point, and I will work with Joanne to send the Zoom credentials as she develops them to my 2,200 email recipients. And I think that is about the best notice we can do. We could put them on the community channels, and of course on the blog. And thanks, Ed. I'll work with Joanne on trying to get that done. Okay? hopefully we'll be able to put the security meeting on Zoom this afternoon. Maybe a little late, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Any questions for Ed? Going. Okay, we have a number of guests here, and since he's the biggest guy, we'll hear from the fire department first.
There you go. Hi, my name is Al Pulverani. I'm with the Professional Firefighters Union 2928. Some of you know me. I come here often. I talk about safety. The sheriff already talked about it. Someone on your board already talked about it, but there's possibly a name storm, but it's going to go north. But just have your plan, watch the news, call your family members out of town. Someone talked about propane. Definitely don't have it close to your building when using it, or store it properly so it doesn't blow away and become an object and smash someone's window. So those are definitely things we want to think about. You know, be prepared, have a plan. That's the best thing that we can say. And don't rush around like everyone else. Don't be behind the 8 ball, rushing around, and then we cause accidents. And then the next thing you know, it swings out to sea, and it wasn't even a hurricane. So let's definitely have that. And sounds like you guys are keeping up on your maintenance. That's a big thing for us. I did hear something about signs. We definitely want labeled signs, because when we come in here 3 o'clock in the morning, we want to help you as fast as possible, and signage is very important for us. We have new members of the fire rescue coming in at all times, and they might be new to this zone, so they need the signage to find you, okay? But real quick, I promised I'd bring this. Does anybody have a yellow dot on their car? No, okay. I'm going to explain what a yellow dot is. This is a yellow dot. What this yellow dot is, you put it on the back left window of your car, and then I have an information packet that you write down your medical needs or medications or surgeries. Because if you get in a car accident and you're unconscious, you can't communicate with us. We can quickly look and say, okay, the person's a diabetic, and we can reverse the negative changes that are happening to you so we can help you. We also can look at your history and get you to the proper hospital. And then on top of that, what you're allergic to. That's very important. We don't want to give a medication to you and make whatever's going on worse. So with hands in the air, or I'm going to have Yuko make a count for me, and then I'm going to put these together and leave them so every single one has a sticker. We are working as a union to make these with stickers in them, so I don't have to do that. But how many people would like it if I could count real quick? That's a lot of people, so at the end of the meeting, they're going to pass it on next, and I'll get the count. They'll give me a call, and I'll bring them back. Fair enough?
I would suggest you give us a few hundred. You're gonna.
I'm not going to be able to do that because we're making new ones, so if you can get a count this time around, and then I'll see how many I have, and I'll try to get to that number. So for next meeting.
You've got about 121 people signed in here, plus guests. I'm going to say there's 200 people in here. That's just an estimate.
Okay.
But when this information gets into the community, you're going to have people coming into Yuko looking for this, or going over to Fire Station 23, and they're going to think we're crazy.
No, so don't do the. We're trying to work on it. I already started working on it with our union, that they're going to print out more, because it's. And just so you know, I'm going to answer some questions before I get hands raised. This goes in your glove box, okay? This is not information, your social security number. It's just your medical for us, so we can read it, right? Because people are going to be scared. Oh, my information is going to get stolen, right? Well, you have your registration card and your insurance card with your name and address already on it. This is just to help us, the police department, when you can't speak to us. That's all it is. And then one thing that I like to add. Sorry for taking so much time. When you do fill this out, okay, make a copy of it. Put it on your refrigerator. Put it in a Ziploc bag on the front of the refrigerator. A separate photocopy of this. What that helps us is when we come in 3 o'clock in the morning, your spouse is worked up, or whoever, your friend, they don't know your history and you're unconscious. We can grab that and know what medications you are on and taking so we can help you quickly and get you to the proper hospital.
Excuse me.
Question for me?
All right, no.
Yeah,
look.
not right now. Okay.
Time's up, sir.
Awesome, thank you.
No,
All right, thank you.
Wait, he has a question.
I have a suggestion that you or someone in the firehouse prepare an article that goes into our paper so it has a wider audience and it's in a hard copy. This is not the whole Century Village, and I think you're
Awesome. I'll do that for the UCO, for sure. It's pretty easy to do. Thank you for your time. I'm going to leave this with the board. This is all I have today, and you guys can pass them out. But have a great day. Happy Labor Day. Thanks for all the hard work to make
Thank you.
all you do.
All right, I have a few cards, not many. What? Oh, yes, dear. Sorry?
Mary in Somerset G. Just a little follow-up about hurricanes and removing everything. The coconut trees that are full, when a hurricane's coming, I had one a couple of years back fly off and dented the side of my car. So just so you know, if you can have your property manager, somebody a week before, take some of those coconuts down.
Yeah, Donald usually does that. Have them trimmed.
Yeah, because those coconuts can become projectiles.
Right. And everybody comes out of every corner to grab them once we cut them down. It's okay, nothing wrong with that. All right, Al Plotnick. And look, folks, try to stick to 3 minutes or we'll be here all day.
I'll make it short.
Jesus, who put that up there? Oh, the fireman, of course.
It was a giant. Give him a ladder. Jump, Al.
Wow.
Good morning. I'm Captain Al Plotnick of the COPs. A COP section now has decreased because of lots of reasons. We need help. If anyone here is considering or thinking about it, I'll be in the back of the auditorium after the meeting. The COPs, your requirement after the training is 3 hours a week. And you're driving in the village. The only time we go out of the village is when we have to go get gas. And it's additional security for the village. There's a short training period, which I'm going to put an article in the UCO paper. It'll explain the whole thing. But we do need more help. So if anybody's got any questions, you could see me after the meeting in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't we hear from the property appraiser's office? Mike Pratt.
Hiya, Mike.
Stand up.
Good morning, everybody. And I guess everybody got Dorothy Jack's trim notice. Was I right? The value went up, right? Last month, 3%
Yes.
for homesteaders.
Perhaps she'd like to buy my apartment for the number on that trim notice.
Well, you know, everybody has an option, and the option is to file a petition with the Value Adjustment Board by September the 13th, and you can have your value really looked at. But first, call the property appraiser's office. We make mistakes. If we make a mistake, we'll correct it before that time. So you don't have to spend the $15 to file a petition unless you go to the property appraiser and they say, okay, no, this is correct, and you're still upset with that it's not correct. The person that gets the value reduction most of the time is the one who bought it in 2021 because they're part of the market. So if you bought your property in 2021 and the value is higher than what you paid for it, you should definitely call the property appraiser's office. I've told a few people because the first 3 months of 21, the values were up about 7 or 8%. By the end of 2021, they're up 25%. I mean, so, you know. One other last point, Dorothy Jacks has a Papa mobile app. It's right here. It's a very interesting app. You can find out anything about anybody. And there's a little button here that just says, asks you, where are you? And I can open it up, and it finds me right here, sitting right here today with these wonderful people here from Century Village. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Rodney Statham? And I'm going to make another appeal for all our honored guests. Think about bringing a card because it greatly assists Joanne in making up the minutes to have those cards. Go ahead.
Hello, friends. Rodney Statham with the clerk of the circuit court, Joseph Abruzzo's office. To follow what Mike said, you go through the clerk's office to file that petition for value adjustment board. So if you did not, again, if you think the value of your home is too high or too low, or if you didn't get the exemption you thought you were going to get, you file a petition with our office. The second thing is, I had spoke to you about the property fraud alert where you can sign up and get your a notice if anything happens with your property. We have switched to another company and added more value to that service to where now you can register your name and address. So it doesn't have to be just your residential, but if you also own a business, it's tied to your name and address, because if your name is Michael Smith, you know, or John Brown, there's a lot of John Browns. There's a few Roddies. In fact, there's only 3 Stathams in this county. But anyway, by switching to this new company, if you have registered before with just telephone notifications, that is going away with that company. You have to re-register we have to re-register again through our website, and you can get notifications with through email with this new company. So again, you get an added benefit of your name and address, but you also, if you did that in the past, it was just your name. So you just have to re-register again if it was phone notifications. If you had email notifications prior, you don't have to do anything. Am I confusing? Okay. If you registered in the past for the property fraud alert and you signed up for phone notifications, you have to re-register again. If you signed up in the past and you wanted email notifications, you don't have to do anything. That's it. So you just go to our website, mypalmbeachclerk.com. You can do our search bar for property fraud, and you'll come up with the information for the new website where you can register, mypalmbeachclerk.com. Miss? Got it. Okay. Have a safe Labor Day weekend, everyone. Take care.
All right.
I have a recommendation here, excuse me.
Rodney?
I think the information you gave is very important, and I would make the same request. I think an article that will go into our paper will help us, because this is verbiage, and I don't know if everybody can go remember everything, and it doesn't get to the entire village. But if you write an article, it'll get to the entire village.
That's a great idea. I will follow up with that.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I don't see any other, but if there are any others that I've missed, distinguished guests. Who, Ruth? Who? I'm not hearing you. Whoever it is needs to come up. Derek? And the dominoes? Oh.
again, would not consider myself to be distinguished.
You're with Congressman Mast,
It-
right?
Yes, sir. These are the distinguished guests. I have no comments.
Yeah.
I have no comments except to say I have not had any cases from Century Village with reference to federal agencies, so please give yourself a round of applause. However, if you guys are taking a trip out of town, if you're making an international trip, whether it's to Portugal, to Israel, you need a passport, call me. You have Social Security issues, call me. You have Medicare issues, call me. I've said that a number of times, haven't heard a peep from anyone from Central Village, so I'm so blessed that you all are blessed and are taken care of. Thank you, God bless you, and have a great weekend.
Well, I'm going to echo what Ed has said 2 or 3 times. Consider writing an article about these services, okay?
I will reach out to the congressman today and ask him to do just
What's
that.
your
Oh,
phone
better
number?
yet.
Thank you so much.
What's your phone number?
561-530-7778. 561-530-7778. My personal email address is Derek,
Big mistake.
D-E-R-E-K, period, Hankerson, Hankerson, at mail.house.gov. .gov, yes ma'am. And just so you know, this to me is not a job, it's a mission. So if I can help you, call me. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you. I don't think we've missed anyone now, which brings us directly to good and welfare or good of the order. Olga. And I had high hopes of hearing from you. Regale us.
I know you're all looking forward to my speech.
Yes, I am.
Oh my God.
If you're intending to put up a fence on your association property, you must first get a permit. But first, I need to clarify what constitutes a fence. The legal definition of a fence is a complete barrier intended to prevent escape or intrusion or to mark a boundary. If it's not a complete barrier, just a section, it does not fit the legal definition of a fence. It is only a partition. Such a partition has been installed on the property of Northampton for some years. Recently, with the permission of the board, a sign was posted on this partition which apparently offended some residents who complained to UCO. They did not complain about a fence, only the sign. A sign which simply read, "We support a woman's right to choose." Choose what? What restaurant to go to? What color to paint the condo? What movie to see? It did not say. This was the complaint, a sign, a non-descriptive sign. No complaint was made about a fence, only a sign. Yet, Donald Foster, upon receiving this complaint, decided that the partition the sign was placed on was no longer a partition, but a fence, which was no longer a partition, but miraculously had become a fence, installed without a permit. So he filed a complaint and a notice of violation with code enforcement. But before he did this, he contacted the Becker Law website, which read in part that political signs are capable of igniting deep factions inside residential communities. Yes, they do. Do you know why? Because this is what a democracy does. It affords you a right to have a difference of opinion and a right to express that opinion, a right guaranteed by the United States Constitution. It's called free speech. And if you ever want that right taken away from you, just speak to Donald Foster. Thank you.
Now, before Donald responds, is there anything in the code about the partition being used to hide the activities of a drug dealer selling drugs out of the back of his apartment?
We're discussing whether the fence is a fence or a partition. Any sign that you put up anywhere, you can do that. That's, as I said, it's called free speech, okay? I could put up any sign I want on there, and unfortunately, no one could do anything about it because so much is said today in our political speeches that are worse than what that sign says.
All right.
Some things are absolutely abhorrent, yet we tolerate it. And unfortunately, it disturbs me that some things that are said are so disturbing that they're allowed to be said. But it's a democracy, and we can't control that.
Hello again, anyone. Yes, I'd like to respond, obviously. Now, you see the controversy that the sign has generated just in this room. You can understand why I chose not to address the sign at all, even though that is also a code violation. What I chose to do instead was to report whether you call it a fence or a partition or a crib, I don't care what you call it. I reported it to code enforcement, and it is code enforcement's job to decide whether a permit needs to be issued for the particular appurtenance. This happened, a very similar thing happened in 2020 after the election. A association president, without the approval of his board, decided to fly the Donald Trump flag on a flagpole. Again, like this issue, my phone started to glow with the heat of the sun over several days. What are you going to do about it? Well, the fact is, the last thing your property manager wants to do is to get involved in free speech and political issues. But the flagpole upon which the flag was mounted was a code violation. It hadn't been permitted. It was too high for its proximity to the building, and that eventually was a workaround to get a divisive thing out of the village that was just literally causing people to get to fisticuffs here at the clubhouse. So my personal opinion, political signs and things of a controversial nature don't belong in our home. We need to get along, and you remember the old words about money, politics, and religion. We just don't talk about it at the dinner table. So yeah, guilty. I did report the fence that was put up by a fence company to code enforcement, and let the chips roll as they may. If it requires a permit, if it requires a variance, we'll have to meet that. Know that the adjacent property to Northampton R is UCO-owned property. So if a variance is required, you can be sure that UCO will have a say in the variance.
Donald,
And
for the record.
thank you very much.
Donald, for the record, before this partition was installed, I went to code enforcement. Good. And I explained to them what it was, and they said as long as it's not over 6 feet, it's not a problem. So that's your answer. And remember,
that'll be
free
between-
speech is a right, whether we live in a closed community or an open community. Otherwise, all of us are going to have to shut our mouths about everything, and I don't think we want to do that, okay?
Very nice. All right.
Olga. Anything else under good and welfare?
Olga. I'm good. Thank you very much.
All right. So you are. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Yes.
Under good and, where are we? Oh, Ed, sorry.
I have two things now that they came up. First, I just want to inform people that if your roof is over a certain age, I don't think, and that could be confirmed, that you would be able to have an individual owner get a mitigation report. And as I understand it, a mitigation report can reduce your individual insurance by 35%. So I'd like that confirmed. And the vigorous speech you made may not be 100% correct. The idea, I think, is. However, I'd like to know the sign that was put on the, as you drove into the Okeechobee entrance, that was very predominant about the medical building being available for whatever. Did that go through code enforcement? Was that according to Hoyle? I think it was on our property. I have a feeling it was a gratis gift to the new physicians at the medical center. I just would like to know if there's an equal, quid pro quo. The only other thing I'll say, Olga, as far as I know, I like your idea, but many of your rights are suspended when you're in a private community.
Very good, Ed. Thank you.
And someone can correct me on that, but I looked it up. In other words, your freedom of speech is not exactly the same as you have freedom of speech on the outside. When you're in a closed community, I think that's limited. So it may not be right, but I believe that's the case, although I support you 100%.
Marilyn.
Marilyn Gordetza, Camden D. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh. All right. Without objection, we are adjourned.